What's the funniest sex story you've had or been told? In my old neighborhood, one of my neighbors heard someone moaning over and over again in the house next to hers, so calls the police to do a welfare check. Cops showed up and listened to the same moaning, but it sounded like it was more than one person, and the cops bust down the door and it winds up being two deaf lesbians having sex.
When I was in my early 20s, I dated a guy who was into bondage. My roommate was out of town, so I planned some sexy surprises, including handcuffing myself to the bed for him to find. He didn't have a key to my place and I lived at the back of a fairly quiet apartment complex, so I left the door unlocked. No sooner did I put that last cuff on, my phone rang and he leaves a message on my machine saying he was going to help his neighbor with a car repair first. 2 hours I lay there praying no one else would walk through that door. I was so mad by the time he got there and all he could do was laugh. Valuable lesson learned.
Was mid-deed, missionary style, intense eye contact, then my prosthetic eye popped out and landed on her. This comes to mind even though I probably wouldn't count it. A guy I met told me a story about a birthday party he had been invited to. He was around 19, I think. He was in the living room chilling with a friend before they left to go see someone. But then someone else just turned off the lights out of nowhere. He was confused, but turns out the party was turning into a full-on orgy, and he could kind of make out other people really going at it around him in the dark. So he was still on the couch at this point, confused, soda in his hand, and all the sounds were just echoing in the room. Eventually the lights go back on and the party resumes like nothing happened. Turns out he was hesitant to leave because he, quote, didn't want to be rude and I wanted cake.
A friend of mine, about 19F at the time, had gotten very drunk during a night out and brought a dude home. He asked if they could do anal and she said sure. The problem though, was that she was not quite, clean in the chute, and shit got everywhere. After the deed was done, he went to the bathroom to clean up. When he came back, my friend apologized for that shitty experience. He answered, I just puked in your toilet, so we're even. They then had breakfast and never spoke again.
I was staying with a friend of mine during Thanksgiving break at college. Let's call him Bobby. His mom immigrated from Korea, and to help out and thank her for her hospitality and copious amounts of amazing Korean food, I offered to drive her to church one evening. Her English wasn't perfect, but we were able to chat on the way. After a bit of small talk, she asks me, "Bobby have intercourse?" Now while I knew he was having sex with a girl on our floor in the dorm, I was not surprised that he wouldn't tell this his extremely Catholic mom. I was shocked she would ask me, and so directly. All I could think to do was make sure I wasn't hallucinating, so I sheepishly asked intercourse, like I was so innocent the first, didn't even know what it meant. She replied, "Yes, intercourse. In the inter. Oh. Winter course. Like winter session classes." I then almost deliriously said, "Yes, I think he wants to be a doctor or something." She was very excited to hear that. Big smile the rest of the way. He wanted to work in a record store, was not taking winter classes, and certainly had no desire to be a doctor. That last part caused him quite a bit of trouble later, so he was pissed about that, but it would have been worse if she had found out about the actual intercourse he was having. Bonk 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 bank. It's the middle of the night. A scary and strange sound, bonk 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 bonk, can be heard moving slowly through the house in the dark. Bank 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 bonk, weapon in hand, we creep out of our beds to see what strange supernatural creature made its way into our home. Bonk bonk bonk, we turn on the light and the dog got his wiener stuck in an empty 2-liter soda bottle and was kicking it between his front legs as he walked around the house. Facepalm. I've got two for you. One night many years ago, me and a buddy took these two girls to a local elementary school playground. We were teenagers, give us a break. He takes his lady over to the slide, I take mine over to the swings. Things are going well and I'm on top taking care of business when all of a sudden I feel something long and wet in my asshole. I immediately turn around and there's a dog with his tongue in my ass. Some guy was walking his dog on leash Pt.1, so the asshole knew what he was doing, and his dog decided to investigate. Needless to say, the lady I was with screamed and pushed me off, which scared the dog, who started barking and then nipped me on the ass. Definitely not the night I was hoping for. Next, let's fast forward a few years. I and some friends have gone to a club where I meet this girl who was giving me the vibe that says buy me a few drinks. So of course I bought her a few drinks, and we wound up leaving together in my car. I was still young, so no actual place to take her yet, so I drove us to one of my spots which I thought would give us sufficient privacy. She and I are in the backseat doing what we do, and the moment of truth starts to approach. At this time I should tell you that although this was the first time I met this girl, I was not wearing a condom. So when the moment was close at hand, I opened the door and stepped out, where I came face to face with a cop who was coming to knock on the window. When I saw him, the shock caused me to lose control and I came right on his shoes. I'm pretty sure I've never seen a person's face turn that red, but my God was he angry. He screamed at me for a good 10 minutes. I sometimes wonder if he kept those shoes or got rid of them.